We are live.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Atomics Founder Hacks podcast. Some time where myself and two of my very dear friends discuss something we've seen, something we've read and something we've learned that has been a source of inspiration for us or the founders and entrepreneurs that we work with. Let me start by saying a substantial hello to Anthony Enright.
Loving that. Hello, Ben. Hello, Alex.
Hello. And equally a significant welcome to Mr. Alex Moore.
Oh, the S's today. Hello, Ben.
I'm sorry. Alliteration just does something
super to talk to you.
Super as always. So, without further ado, shall we kick off? I believe that Mr. Anthony Enright, you've seen something you'd like to share with us. Do tell.
Absolutely. The scene this week, and we've titled it Invention Unleashed. And this is a story with one of our clients, the ventures that the three of us are working on together. And we have a partnership with a particular organisation. And what we've seen this week, and it's Honest Burger. And obviously the hospitality industry, certainly in the UK, certainly, should I say, in England, in lockdown has had to pivot once again. And we're looking at how restaurants in particular are pivoting to the takeaway customer. And what we've seen this week is we've seen as those burgers leave and whomever is collecting, the driver is collecting, that the staff within the restaurant are writing out individual notes to the customer, telling them a little bit about the team that have made the food for them, but also they're taking Polaroids and they're sticking the Polaroids to the bags, to the takeaway bags, and showing this is John, this is who made your food today, and they're humanizing the process, right? They're humanizing the process. So when that burger hits your door, when it arrives, the first thing you see is this Polaroid of the person that's made it for you, saying, "I hope you enjoy this. I've really enjoyed making this food for you. Please order again," or whatever it may be. But what we've actually seen from this is allowing the people within your business to shine, right? Nobody's sort of told them that this is what you got to do, this is how to do it, and this is the process. This is just their personalized thoughts about going, wouldn't it be nice if we did this? And wouldn't it be fun if we did this? So the impact on the customer, we're certain, is huge. Because it's not just a wrapped up bag and you open it and there's your burger. There's a personal message to you as an individual to say, this is who made it, and made with care, made with love and care in some circumstances. And the point here is just allowing, how often as founders, how often as entrepreneurs and running our businesses, do we allow our people to shine? Do we allow our people to go, no, you deal with that. If you want to do that, well, what's going to be a fun experience for the customer? You go do it. Because without that, we wouldn't have these ideas and these other things that come up. So I just thought it was really fun, but really personal, but also behind it, really poignant about how often do we actually let our staff shine? How often do we give them the opportunity to go and say, no, you do that. If you think it's a great idea, you go do it. See how it works. So Ben, I know you're very close to this project.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is through Tipjar, a business we've talked about, which I'm CEO of, and what was lovely was that Tipjar were also supporting in terms of allowing the customer to say thanks to the people who made the food, which was really cool. For me, though, this actually picks up on a much bigger theme, which I think is a lesson for all of us, actually, in terms of how the world is changing, that behind every business are real human beings, whole human beings who have personalities and hopes and dreams. And I think if we go back maybe 20 years, people always tried to make their businesses faceless. They made their businesses, you weren't transacting with John or Jeff or Erica or Sally. You were conducting business with a business. And for me, that's sort of fictional. Businesses are these fictional notions that we pretend exist to help organise ourselves. They're not real things. The real things are actually the people that are in them. And there's something about having the courage and the confidence to say to your team, it's like your whole personality is okay. You don't have to pretend to be not a human to work here. Be a human who has a personality and hopes and dreams, because actually that makes the whole experience of interacting with that business something far more powerful. That, yeah, it's not just some machine that's made my burger anonymously. It's John or Jeff or Sally, or, you know, it's a real person. And actually, suddenly I'm connected in a far deeper and more profound way. And I just think it's such a wonderful lesson, and something that actually we're seeing much of the world start to embrace, which is really interesting. And I wonder how other businesses could do that too, and just let the people in the business be all of who they are, rather than some sort of machine. But Alex, what do you reckon? I feel this might chime with you a little bit. It must
does. It does. And I Honest are a brand, a very cool brand. I'm a big fan of that business, and I think they get away with it. And I think my point is, though, you've got to kind of be a cool brand to get away with it. I was listening to the radio the other day with my little boy, and there was this advert that came on about Halifax and how they are calling their customers just for a chat and a cup of tea. And it all came across as being really, really fake. And I think if you're Halifax trying to tell everyone you're cool, and our people from our call centres will randomly phone you up to see if you're all right during these times, to have a cup of, and we have a virtual cup of tea together. I don't know. I just thought, I don't like that. I'm a bit cynical about this stuff. But, Honest are cool and funky, and I think they get away with it. So I don't think it's something. I think it's something for a challenger business, one that's coming up. What was that? Southwest Airlines are always famous for letting their staff say whatever they like on there, but would you want British Airways doing that? I don't know. A brand on the way up where it's cool, people are into the story, being part of rapid growth, I think it's very energizing for a business, I found, and from my experience. Maybe they're the type of businesses you can get away with and it really works. It's one of these things, one size does not fit all, because I would argue, when I hear Halifax saying, we're going to call up all our customers for a virtual cup of tea, I'm kind of less impressed. So there's a balance, maybe. That's what I wanted to say, and it doesn't work for everyone.
Okay, I think that's really interesting, because I think it does depend, and we talk a lot about this on the podcast, what your values are as an organisation. But maybe, Alex, you wouldn't want to call from Halifax, but I know of, and again, I'm going to say, I know you both love your sports analogies. But there's a football club, and who I know the CEO very well, and it's just down the road from where I live. And during lockdown, obviously, there is now, but previously there was no football, and they called every season ticket holder. Every season ticket holder got a phone call just to see how they were getting on, and was there anything the football club could do for them. Mm-hmm. And wow. I think to Ben's point, we are human, right? And I think also this football club, when they look at the demographic of their season ticket holders, they are, a lot of retired individuals are in there that have been supporting the club for literally their whole life. So they're potentially more vulnerable individuals. But it was an honest kind of, phone call to just say, look, the football club misses you. I'm sure you missed the football club. Is there anything we can do? And so it wasn't just a one-off. They continued that. And I think the impact that has can be huge. But Ben, I cut you short there. You were going to come in and...
No, I was going to, in a sense, say something similar, but to offer a little bit of challenge to what Alex is saying. I get it. You're right. Okay. Yeah, with perhaps big banking organisations, there is perhaps an inauthenticity behind what they're doing. I guess what I wanted to throw out there was the lovely thing that TfL did last year. I mean, as big and as faceless an organisation as you might want, where they just said to all their train drivers, just say what you want on the tannoy. And we had train drivers in the morning going, "Oh, you all right, everyone? Yeah, I'm a bit miserable today, but let's try and make the best of it," and just sort of having a much more conversational style. And people really responded and loved it and were smiling, and so I do think it's possible. But I think the difference is between a corporate initiative and creating an environment where your staff have the courage to do things for themselves. So there's a permission piece. Like, I think what Honest achieve is their staff know it's okay to be themselves, and that's okay. I worry for the big banking organisations that's not okay. That's not okay. So they're not saying, perhaps it's not phone the customers because you want to, it's phone the customers because we're telling you to.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think, I mean, I don't know, who knows, but I got a sense from the enthusiasm behind what Honest Burger were doing. This is something the staff are up for. They want to do it, whereas where it's some corporate initiative.
I think that's a really good point there, Ben. As we move away from this subject, is are you giving your staff permission to shine? Are you giving your staff rather than telling your staff, that voluntold, right?
Yeah, and is it authentic? I think that's where I will.
Yes.
I think the authenticity of it. I think you could possibly. I will take that one on the chin, Ben. And I reckon I guess the key is authenticity.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent, Alex. I think you've wrapped that up very well. Is do you have to be cool to do this, to let your staff shine, or do you just have to be authentic? And is your business faceless? Can you really start thinking about the whole human being within your businesses and the power of allowing them to shine?
Yeah.
So on that note, Alex, we're going to move over to you now and our read for this week.
Yeah, our read actually was inspired by Matthew Syed again, who we often talk on this podcast. We have to get him on one day. I wonder if he'd come. He was talking about Richard Branson and a fantastic story that relates to Branson's book Losing My Virginity, which I read a few years ago. And it's all about he's talking about entrepreneurs and founders of businesses and what's the skills that they need to be a good founder. And he was just talking about initiative. And the story of, I don't know if you know this, guys, but the story of Richard Branson's first foray into the aviation industry was just came out of luck. He was on his way to the Virgin Islands. There was a connecting flight. He got to, I think it was Miami. He got to Miami and they all got off the plane. Many of the people from the first flight were going to the second flight and they said, no, plane's cancelled. They all sat there and were like, we're going to sit here for God knows how long. And Richard Branson just picked up the phone, phoned around a few people, said, how much would it cost to charter a plane to get all these people? He said, he counted the number of people in the room waiting. He said, I reckon about $200. We can make this work. So he managed to convince somebody to rent them a plane, went round everybody, didn't know anyone, went round and said, if you've paid $200, would you, got enough people to say yes, put up a little sign saying Virgin Airways, I think it was, and then off he was, off he went. And it just gave him the seeds of an idea. And I just thought, initiative. Really, if there is a secret sauce for a founder, isn't it initiative? It's going out there. You can be good at lots of things and you can have this entrepreneurial sort of vigor, if you like, but isn't initiative just going, I tell you what, why was it him in that room was the only one that had that idea, right? So, I just wanted to throw that one out to you guys. You think initiative, and the question to you is, can it be taught? Anthony?
That's exactly what I wrote down, is can it be taught? Is it native or is it learned? And I think it has to be something that is deep within your soul, that's a natural sort of gift or a natural talent. It's very hard to teach people how to show initiative. And I think when we look back to our own childhoods and experiences, it's that part of the brain that goes, where there's a problem, okay, what's the solution? What's the solution, and how can I create that solution, and how can I bring people on that journey, right? Because that's about, not just about, okay, coming up with a solution to charter a plane. That's also then the next part is convincing everybody in that room to jump on that plane and to share that cost. So I absolutely love that, but I'm afraid to say I do, and I say afraid because I think if you don't have it, I think it makes setting up a business and running a business much, much harder when you don't naturally spot those opportunities that are out there. And I think when you're working I was talking to somebody earlier today, and when you first set up your business, you tend to say yes to everybody, don't you? You just say yes, 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 yes. And it's as you mature as a business, you start to really look in on who your core customer is, where the benefit of that comes from, or the benefits of concentrating on your core customer. And that comes from that sort of initiative, that intuition to go, oh, there's the opportunity. That's the opportunity that few others, my competitors, aren't seeing. And I think that's where it makes the difference as you progress and mature as a founder. But Ben, I can see you nodding at points to that. What are your musings?
I'm reminded of a quote from Mark Gatiss, who's a famous writer. He was in League of Gentlemen, and I saw him interviewed the other day. And he's now a prodigious writer as well. And the interviewer said to him, a lot of people want to be writers, and so what would your advice be? And he said, well, pick up a pen and start writing. And he said, well, no, seriously, the biggest difference between writers and non-writers is that writers write. And I think in a similar way, perhaps you could say the difference between entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs is that entrepreneurs start. they actually do it. They don't just talk about it. And it's funny, I'm sure you guys have had the same as someone who's kind of been involved in setting up and starting lots of different things. Often people do come to me with sort of business ideas, friends and family. I've got this idea, and oh, great. What have you done? Oh. And it's that difference, isn't it? It's have you started? Well, no, I'm not going to start. I just want to talk about it. And then you kind of go, well, it's that 0 to 1, to quote a very famous entrepreneurial book that I think makes the difference. So I get it. I think it's initiative. Doing, starting, yeah. But
I also think it's tight. We touched on this in last week's episode. Education. I feel like the way that the education system is set up, it doesn't really foster initiative. It's more about, okay, this is this subject we're learning about, and this is it. It's often done in a chronological order, and these are the things you need to memorize about this, rather than interconnecting all these ideas from different silos of knowledge and pulling them all together. And I think that's the interesting thing. The initiative is where people from different disciplines and different jobs, and I think, I think the workplace in the 21st century, what our kids are going to be doing in 20 years, probably there are jobs that don't exist yet. So having this ability to look at everything from a multidimensional point of view, to me, would foster more people to have initiative. And I think that's why I'm quite excited about what the guys at the London Interdisciplinary School are up to at the moment, for example.
On that basis, Alex, do you think then that we're all born with that initiative, but it's actually educated out of us?
I don't know. Maybe it's nature and nurture. It's always, it's a little bit in there, and it's a little bit can be pulled out of you. So
I would say, I don't know, guys. I think it's probably more likely it's something we all have and lose. I mean, I don't know. I think it's very rare to see a child that doesn't know how to start playing a game. Do you know what I mean? And I think we probably do have. Most people have much more of it than they realise, but it is beaten out of us by the way we've built our society. You're told to stay on your tracks. You're told to. And it's difficult. It's hard. We put a lot of obstacles in the way of entrepreneurship, just in the way that we organise our society. We all come out of university. Well, kids these days come out of university with 60 grand's worth of debt, and are told their job is straight away to try and earn as much money as they can, paying off enormous debts. Now, that's not a great start for someone who's an entrepreneur, because obviously many people who make a choice to live an entrepreneurial life spend many years without earning much money for themselves. But that becomes a very difficult choice when the whole world is telling you've got to straight away be earning lots and lots of money. So that really does get in the way of wealth creation, I would have thought, particularly for the generation we've got coming up who've got such a tough time. Anyway, Anthony, you're going to wrap us up.
Well, I've got a burning question here is, did he make a profit? Right, when he did it, did he make a profit? When he charged everybody $200, was there a margin in there?
I bet there was. I bet
there was too.
Right. Well, I think that leads us on very nicely, guys, to the learned. And by I think that means it's you, Ben.
I'm back to form.
Yeah, back to your zone.
Form. My zone. The learning zone.
Tell us about your learned this week.
So my learn this week, and in a way, I think it was almost a reaction to your story about Branson, because it is so true that I think entrepreneurs want to solve problems. If you're a founder, you're probably a founder because there was a problem you wanted to solve. There was something you invented. There was an idea you had. You started something. You committed yourself to doing something and did it. And I think it is, in my experience, quite an inherent set of behaviours for most founders of things. I think the thing for me that's been a learn this week is actually, of course, that's great when you start. But then when you're trying to grow something, it can be the very thing that gets in the way. Because, quickly you get to step 2. And step 2 is, well, I need to have people around me who are helping build this thing. And I've seen a lot of founders, and I may have been guilty of it myself, you still put yourself in that position of being the inventor. In a sense, I've always thought that, entrepreneurs don't necessarily need to see a space to put themselves in it. They will use their elbows and they will go in anyway. They will elbow their way to the front. When there's something that they want to be doing, they will take things themselves. They will see a problem and they will put themselves in that place to solve it. I guess what perhaps changes as the business grows is you need to learn to leave space and watch, because actually a lot of people don't work that way. They're not going to push themselves into a space. They're going to wait to be asked, or wait to be invited, or wait for the space to be really obvious before they put themselves in it. So I guess my learn this week is, as a business grows, do you need to learn how to leave space and watch to allow others to step forwards and into that space, which you might be tempted just to keep trying to occupy all that space for yourself. So I don't know, what do you think? Are you both grown businesses? Is this a learn for you? Anne, go ahead, mate.
Well, certainly since I exited my main business about 3 years ago, this has been a massive area of learning for me. I think I was poor at it before, and now I can actually see the power of allowing people to solve the problems for themselves, right? Because if we're continually instructing our teams on what to do and how to do it, growth and achieving your goals is going to be really tough. Right, we hire people to come in and do the things that we don't want to do anymore. So let them do it, right? Give them the parameters, manage expectation as to what you want the outcome to be. And I think the main thing on that is you've got to allow people to fail. You've got to allow people to make mistakes as you do that. Because what we tend to do is we have that mindset of nobody's going to do it as good as me. Well, I agree, they're not. But you're not going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve and grow your business if you sit there waiting for people to come along who are going to do it as well as you. But you know what? If you allow people, if you give people the space, if you give people the time, they will learn, they will fail, and then they'll start to develop and evolve. And you know what? They may just end up doing it way better than you did, but it doesn't happen overnight. Mm. So I think it's a really, really tough one as a founder to allow to happen, but it's absolutely necessary if you're going to allow your business to grow. Otherwise, you will end up stressed, tired, and not effective, in my view, and experience.
Interesting. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, I guess.
Did you leave space and watch, or did you elbow your way in?
Yeah, I think to me, it's hiring the right people, and then leaving the space and watch. If you haven't got the right team, then it takes a while. It's all about timing. So much of life is about timing. But I also think the other side to this is I've found I've had to grow as a person as my businesses have grown. And I've had to learn different skills, and letting things go and letting people do other things is a key part of that. And I'm reminded, there's a fantastic quote that I wrote down recently from James Clear on his newsletter, and he said, "Entrepreneurship is a personal growth engine disguised as a business pursuit. And I thought, isn't that clever? And I think, yeah, this is one of these things where, yeah, at the beginning you have to be one type of person, which is do everything and get in there. And, you know, as it grows, you can't, I've found from my experience, I can't be like that anymore, because that will inhibit the business's growth. So I have to learn something that wasn't very natural to me, and let that go, and make sure I hand over the jobs to the right people at the right time and support them in the right way, so that I don't have to do it anymore. And that can be very empowering, I think, inside a business if you get it right. Hard to get right. So that's what I was going to say.
It sounds empowering for you and for the people around you, actually.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of win-win if you can get it right. But I take the point about the right people, absolutely. We've talked about that before, haven't we? The right people pay for themselves. And perhaps the ones that do see those spaces and take them on. Great stuff, guys. Great stuff.
Well, we have initiative, may I say?
We have initiative, absolutely.
Bit of a link
you
there.
can find out. It's fantastic. Build their own rail tracks. Cool. Well, I think we're about at time, gentlemen. Another fascinating conversation. So, to summarise this one, I think we're telling a story here that, you know, can you let people shine out of your business as whole humans and not just faceless reps? And can you do that authentically? It could supercharge your business and the connections you build, but that authenticity is key. Can we celebrate the founders, be it Branson or any of the rest of us, because they pick up the pen, and you know that's a powerful thing to create change and to create progress in all of society. But at the same time, can we personally grow fast enough to manage that entrepreneurial instinct to always be the one that starts and fills the space, so that your people around you can do that too? And guess what? You might be surprised they could actually end up being better than you. How does that feel?
Never.
Well, thank you very much, both of you. So, look, it remains to say, as ever, an enormous thank you to Mr. Anthony Enright.
Thanks, Ben.
And an equally effusive thank you to Mr. Alex Moore.
Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Ben. And thanks for listening.
Just a reminder, as always, Founder Hacks is also a blog, so you can have your Founder Hacks in written form, and you can also share them. So if you subscribe to our Founder Hacks blog, please do share it. If there's anything in there that resonates, maybe you can encourage people to also listen to our podcast. Don't forget also, we love your feedback. So if there's any stories in here that have resonated with you, or perhaps you've got a story you'd like to share, do reach out on hello@atomics.co.uk, and we'd love to include your Founder Hack in the pantheon of Founder Hacks we've gone out and curated and collated for you. I've been Ben Thomas. This has been Founder Hacks, and thank you as always for listening.